And as it releases stuff, the butterfly that now has landed in your heart goes down into your belly and starts creating butterflies in your belly. That's expectation. That's where science ends and faith starts. Because you see, as Alan Watts would say, you see, on this eternal journey from the maternity ward to the grave, you will find the thusomeness, which is that place that we all are surprised to find where matter meets mind, where science meets faith and shakes hand and dances crazily. And he would probably add, and when the scientists finally climbed up on the mountain, the mystics had cooked some nice hot cocoa for them, and they all sat down around the campfire and wondered. So there you go. At your own pace, at your own pleasure, count from 1 to 5 in any way you want. And when you feel that you are ready to put on your curious hat and explore new ways of doing stuff that flourishes, then you can just kind of like you're waking up, you can do a little fake yawn and there we go. I turn on the recording after a little while so that the first part of this secret ritual could be kept secret so people will go, why wasn't I there? And that's okay. But we will have you please write in the chat what this did for you. The experience you just had, just write one sentence about it in the chat so we can share that. And the chat can be downloaded after. So it's a collective experience. Put a smile on my face. And you can keep that little groove of wagging back and forth. Lightness in my being. Lightness of being. Calm in the midst of every day, yeah. So stuff is going on in the world. Please keep writing. So there's something called the Delphi model. It is called Delphi after the oracles of Delphi, which were young women breathing incense, getting visions, telling people if they should go to war and win or lose, if people should marry or divorce. And I think that's in a way that's kind of better than therapy. It's pre-therapy. Instead of going to war, losing it, and getting therapy, you get told before you go, oh, you're going to die today, so you might as well have a cup of coffee before you go. And you go, should I trust this drug-induced young woman here? Of course you should. She's an oracle. Yeah. And now we are connected in a way because we all played the same game. So when you're a kid, you walk up to somebody and say, hi, my name is Ulf. What's yours? Oh, I'm Erika. Oh, Erika, do you want to play? What do you want to play? And Erika might go, let's play demonstration. No, 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 no. Let's play Watergate. No, 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 no. Let's play cat and butterfly. Whatever. And you go, okay, what are the rules? And Erika tells me, well, the rules are this. As a butterfly, you're allowed to fly, but not to sit. And as a cat, you have 9 lives, and that's okay. But when you touch the tree and close your eyes, you're free. You're home safe. And if it's fun, we'll continue to play, and we might be friends for life. And if it isn't fun, and we don't change the rules, one of us will go, you're not any fun, and turn the back and walk away. And if we kept that mindset for the rest of our lives, realizing it all is actually a play, and that's exactly how we should play it, then we probably wouldn't have any war. Only those who liked to play war would war. And may they do it well. So this is my second webinar in the series, the lifelong series, My Life, which is every now and then, let's discuss everything but the method. Because the methods that we use, most of us here are into havening. Some of us here are into tapping. Some of us here know both havening and tapping. So let's do a little hands in the air here. Hands in the air if you are a havener. Hands in the air if you are a tapper. Hands in the air if you haven't decided yet. That's good. That works for me too. So, what we're doing is we're doing a lot of things that are researched. So, there's loads of research, and one of the best courses I've had about happiness, which is basically what a client wants when a client looks for you and says, "Hey, I want something. What do you want?" "Well, I want to be happy." "So what is happy?" You have to define it. And if you define it, it's your happy, it's not their happy. And if they define it, it's their happy. And that's the clean language I talked about by David Grove. So the client knows what they want, the client knows where it hurts, and all you have to do is ask them and provide a safe space for them, and don't muddle the water. Don't guess, don't second guess, don't propose, don't unpropose, just be. And be in the same way as somebody you'd like to play in a sandbox with. "Hi, I am client. I feel dis-ease. Can you help me?" "Yes." "Maybe. I don't know. Let's try." "Okay. What do we do now?" "Well, you just feel safe and trust me as if I really cared for you. You know, there's probably been some person in your life that really cared for you that made you feel safe." "Oh, yeah, my grandmother." "Okay. So when you close your eyes and think about your grandmother as if she was here now and allowed yourself that feeling, which you already know how to do because you know where it is, what would you like to resolve?" So most of a session for me is keeping my fingers behind my back. And that's the clean approach, the clean attitude. Providing a safe space, which means that we can joke. Because when people feel safe, you can joke about stuff. When people are tense and testy, you cannot joke because it will go the wrong way. And like both my and my sister's grandmother used to say, humor is simple. If people don't laugh, it ain't. And that's very personal. So, it might be useful to just think about humor, humor it. And humoring humor means if you laugh with something and the only person at the end of the laughter is you in some way, then people will feel good and they're not afraid. And I usually tell people, because I've been doing presentation skill courses for a lot of students who are studying their PhD and who need to present their research at Karolinska Institutet, which is a pretty good hospital and university here. So I tell them, don't worry about what they think of you. Just make sure that they feel that they're your friend and that you want to deliver a message to them so that when they walk away, they feel something because of what you told them. And that will lead them to doing something differently because they feel differently. And then I realized that this is what every therapeutic intervention ever is. A person comes to you because they don't feel the way they would like to about something, and they want to leave you feeling different. So all you have to do is change how they feel. That could be making them laugh. They could get pissed too, of course. Not so therapeutic, but there is provocative therapy and it works for some people in some situations. It's risky because you have no idea about what war that person is fighting inside. So I personally very rarely take that risk unless it's a person with narcissistic or psychopathic tendencies or very aloof, or a couples therapy where one in the couple is, more or less texting during the therapy session. Then I might be a little bit provocative, kindly provocative. But most of the time, just treat people like what they want to be. And I'd like, before we start, because we're going to be interacting a lot more this time, I've prepared loads of stuff for you. So we can be going for 9 hours more or less, but I only have 90 minutes because I have another call after. So I just like to check in because, Scott, you and I did a session last time, right? I mean, you kindly offered to be part of a demonstration, and that is the most valuable thing that can happen. And I know that some people who teach havening tell people we're not doing therapy during the training. And I come from a different place because I work together with Gunilla Hamne, and we work with people who are severely traumatized in situations where we might just meet them for half an hour. That's all the training they're going to get. So we go sharp, but we give simple rules of safety, and it usually works very well, or it's always worked up to now. So Scott, tell me, how has it been since last?
So okay, in a nutshell, there's been a chemical imbalance because there was some medication that I take that has been out of my system now for about 4 weeks. So I was in the middle of something sort of drug induced.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew exactly what I needed at that moment, and the word was energy, which I found very intriguing and spot on, because no matter where I wasn't going to necessarily be able to fix a problem, solve a solution, but you were able to get me from all over the place to grounded, energized, good. So that's been wonderful.
Well,
I was just thinking
congratulations.
about it this morning.
Well done. So tell me something. What do you think what part do you think I played in that?
Um, I think I think you, the facilitator, I think you just sort of helped direct me. Right?
Because
It's
I
not
had
like,
no idea that was what you needed, but you
hmm,
knew.
right.
That's how I see it. I mean, if you ask me, my version of our session is I provided a safe space for you to find whatever you needed in.
Hmm. Well, you did mention energy. I don't know if it might have been in afterwards, when you were talking about it. So that's why that word stuck with me. But yes, whatever it is that I needed at that moment in time, you provided that safe space and you provided a way for me to get it
Yeah. And
very
sorry.
very quickly,
Yes, very quickly. And
elegantly.
to be honest, I do say a lot of things, which you notice if you watch the replay of it. I do mention a lot of words, so I'm not working completely clean, even though I promote clean language. If without becoming woo woo in any way here, I kind of, if I just relax and step aside with my intellect, and I have the havening going all the time, so the delta wave is there, which provides the therapeutic alliance, because the therapeutic alliance is only about feeling safe with the other person.
Mhm,
And this makes you feel safe. So we don't have to worry about 10 sessions to find each other. We didn't know each other before, and that's okay. And you were among a bunch of people you don't know, and that was okay too. So by just doing this, we've found the safety spot, the safe spot where we can
mhm,
keep the balance. And then I do look a lot at the eye signals that you have. I look a
mhm.
lot at your facial expressions. I look at
Yep.
your breathing. I calibrate, and
Mhm,
I do it intuitively because I've done it so much. And I also kind of read, where is he going?
mhm,
So if we go this direction, and like I said, it's like making love, more of this, less of that, and listen to the signals and stop and wait, you know. So in a way, or dancing. I mean, that would be the same thing, or skiing. So it's about, just checking, where is this going? Where should it go? Where is it going? Where should it go? And sometimes, to be completely honest, words pop into my head, and when they do, I create a metaphor with them
mhm,
that I believe fits the situation, but it's not an intellectual belief. It's more like if you're playing music and you're playing notes and you're not going, oh, they're playing a D minor here. I think I should take the fifth. It's not that. It's more just like I usually hit something over here when this happens, and it sounds right.
mhm.
So it is kind of an intuitive approach, but there's to do that in music, you need to practice scales a lot so that you don't have to think about it once you're doing it.
Yeah. To do with another person like this, though, you really just, all you have to really do is become very, very present with them and keep yourself aside.
Keep your intellect aside, keep your fears of failure or your aspiration to success aside. So step aside from your ego, create safety, make room for humor and lightness. And it's a game. Can we play? Okay, I'm playing that I'm feeling a bit bad. Okay, I'll play the therapist, and that's it. Rules are simple. And I really want to thank you again for allowing us to share that, because so many people learn so much from a real demonstration because it's undeniable.
Yeah,
So thanks again.
my pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate everything you do. I think you're excellent.
Thanks. Same to you. All right. So, are there any questions for those of you who saw that? Any questions at all? Anything you're wondering about or what I just said before we move forward? Please feel free. And remember, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Okay? Nothing really. It's all crystal clear. There's a difference between crystal clear and crystal meth. I just learned that today. Okay. So we move forward and we start where we left it off last time. So I'm going to pinpoint my image here, but you're not going to be seeing me. Instead, we're going to repeat the answer to everything. Those of you who know me and Gunilla, you know exactly what the answer is. The answer to any question you will ever run into in your whole life, whatever it is about. And if it isn't, you text me and I will buy you lunch at your favorite restaurant. So there you go. It depends. Yeah, there you go, Natalie. Yeah. So it depends. It's for me, it is the only truly scientific approach. Have we proven beyond doubt that this vaccine is safe or isn't safe? That this president is sane or isn't sane? It depends. Should we combine them? It depends. So it depends is something that you can Google, and it's a tool, and it's called E prime, and E stands for English. And E prime is a way of speaking that Korzybski came up with, Alfred Korzybski, and I think it was he that came up with E prime. In any way, it's Robert Anton Wilson wrote 2 books with E prime. And what you do is you skip the word is. So it's about being humble. And humble means being opening the door for wisdom. Wisdom does not exist without humble. Wisdom without humble is knowledge or intelligence, and that can be really dangerous. So when you get humble into the business, you're humble be humble, then you can E prime your language. So nothing is, it just seems. Darling, you seem to be drunk, and it seems to be 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, obviously it seems that way, but actually I'm having an epileptic fit. Whatever it is, it seems just takes away the mind read of relationship quarrels. You don't seem to love me. Why? Because the toilet seat was up. Oh, I'm sorry. My back kind of dislodged the disc and I couldn't bend down well, I'm sorry. I'll put it down next time. I do love you, darling. So whatever it is, if it seems to be rather than is, then things become quite peaceful. And together with E prime, Robert Anton Wilson added something which came from Timothy Leary, who was a quite interesting person, who investigated psychedelic drugs for releasing human potential, which people are doing again today. And Timothy Leary said that people regard the world through their reality tunnel. So your reality tunnel is formed by your life experiences, what you believe is true or isn't true. And so you can go, looking through my reality tunnel, I am not the kind of person who would sing that tone, or I'm not the kind of person who would eat meat, or I'm not the kind of person who wouldn't eat meat. So your reality tunnel is your idea, the narrative, the story you're telling about yourself and the world, what's possible and impossible. And if everybody went by their reality tunnel, then Roger Bannister would never run the English mile faster than 4 minutes because he wouldn't even try. And we wouldn't find the US, which might, I'm not saying that might or might not have been a good idea, but he was actually looking for India. And we would not have penicillin, and maybe none of us would be sitting here. So reality tunnels are reality tunnels. And the reality you believe exists around you is the one you believe exists around you. So beliefs are really interesting. And one tool for changing beliefs is havening or tapping. I believe that I cannot think about when I had this really serious car accident without going into a fearful stance, because every time I think about it, I do. So in my reality tunnel, my body will react and I can't do a thing about it. And that's reactive emotions. So if I can calm down the body like this and I say, let me show you something. So let's all do this. So it's hand havening. And my instruction is always, you know, you want to wag a little back and forth like this because, like I said, you're not tense. And also, I'm using this as a barometer. So I start the hand havening before we even start talking. And I'll explain why. Because this will tell me when they are becoming reactive. So if I talk to them, I go, okay, so tell me what's the issue? Well, I've been to therapy many years. Okay, so, is it all resolved? And they go, oh, yeah, it really is. I don't want to go there anymore. It's fixed. And when their hands stop, it's because they are reactive. So you go, oh, right. You don't want to go there. Yeah, we absolutely won't go there, will we? So it tells me, and I had a client today and I was talking and we were going through stuff and there had been some really, really serious stuff in this client's life. And then all of a sudden we're talking about something and the client goes, yeah, and then there's this other issue, but that's definitely not something that we need to talk about because I'm totally cool with that. I've been to at least 2 years to therapy and that thing is cool, but the other stuff, yeah, maybe. And I'm going, yeah, you just make them self-conscious. Do you notice that you went at 10 times the speed? Oh yeah, I did. I wonder what that is. Well, it's because you live in a mammal. There's three of you. There's the mammal you that goes, ouch, my back hurts. You've been sitting too much watching Zoom stuff. And you're going, bad back, give me a pill. You know? So the mammal goes for many years, can you de-stress a little bit? Can you not worry about everything? And you're going, it's okay. And then the mammal goes, oh, look, we have a burnout. That's a surprise. And the mammal goes, could you not have listened to me? That's the mammal you. And then you have the mind you. And mind you, your mind is a part of you that will all the time be very adamant about explaining everything. Oh, yeah, I know it's this, but it's not that. Well, I'm not the kind of person that, and I know, and I definitely know for sure. I mean, I really know. And your mind will race to explain stuff that you do subconsciously. So, I didn't intend to get the lasagna. I was thinking about the salad all the way up to the cashier. And then when I was there, I got a phone call and I forgot. And they put the lasagna in front of me, with the creamy stuff on the side. And I didn't even expect to get it. Yeah, or maybe you were just waiting for, one little lasagna excuse to get you past the cashier. That's your mind. And then there's a part that some people, including my sister's father, gets very upset when we mention. It's the soul. So I wrote a book together with a colleague called Beyond Universe. And in it, we have a chapter about the soul. And I told our dad, I said, I have a chapter about the soul. Why would you want to speak about that? Have they even proven it? People will be upset. Why would people be upset? Well, I am. Basically, it's a touchy subject. It's even worse than body fluids. I mean, you have it, and it has to be there, and it should be there, but you don't want to bring it out into public, and you're not sure if it smells. So this soul thing, what is it? And that's the part of you, and I can make it very easy. The mammal is the one that goes, you're tired, you're hungry, you're restless for a reason. And you need to walk, you need to exercise. Jesus, get up. That's the mammal. And then your mind and the conscious and the subconscious part of your mind is going to be going all the time, racing to explain it. Well, you see, this is because of that, and that's because of this, and I'm sure about that. And that's how I feel good about myself. And then the soul is the part of you that looks at a sunset and experiences something called awe. I love that word, AWE. Awe is what a soul does. That's its job. So the job of your soul is to, notice whatever is awe-inspiring and do it. looking into the eyes of a baby, seeing a flower, watching an octopus in slow motion, dancing with a butterfly, watching a bag in the wind as the wind blows it along. And it seems to dance and they seem to play with each other. And how could they? Because a bag does not have feelings, or does it? Maybe it's a nation. Maybe that's why they united in the Atlantic Ocean, 5 times the size of France. Maybe it has feelings. Maybe it is the intelligence. And we are just an imagination by the plastic ocean. So, getting these three to dance properly and tango is part of the job of doing therapy. And one of the easiest ways to create change in how somebody feels is to start havening even before you start talking. And this is so unweird that you tell people, put your hands together. And if they're a little bit macho and analytical, you go, you have to do it hard. And they go, okay, I'll do it hard. It's a glass pearl between your hands. You don't want to crush it, don't want to drop it. Just do like me. And then you start talking and they will follow you. And since you're doing it, they will follow. Easy peasy. And now, this is where you want to step aside and allow them to heal. And this is where clean language is really useful because it allows them to go in the direction they need to go rather than the direction you are guessing they need to go. But then there are some other tools. Now, I've been working with a psychologist called Stefan Sandström. No relation at all. It's very weird to be working with somebody with the same last name who could be my father. He has spent 40 years working with addiction recovery and violence in close relations. Two tricky things that join hands usually with each other. Where you find one, you find the other. They're sister and brother. Not like us. Me and my sister are great. So, transaction analysis, which I do use a lot, is something that he is an expert in. He also happens to be a monk, but that's a different thing. So, I want you to just look at one little slide about transaction analysis, because I believe that it will change the way you feel, see, and do a lot of stuff. So transaction analysis comes from the hypothesis, the idea, the imagination that when two living, feeling creatures of any kind, it could be a mosquito and a butterfly, or you and a dog, or two people, not saying you're not people, but transaction analysis means that every communication is a transaction of some sorts. One of these creatures is trying to transact some kind of feeling and action from the other one. Pass me the salt, marry me, divorce me, buy a new dog, get that car. Will you want to buy my sneakers? So, when there is a transaction, you can be in one of 4 quadrants of communication. And this is highly interesting when you take Stefan's perception of it, because we've been using this simple tool to guide criminal youth out of addiction. And in one single session, they've actually understood themselves more than ever up to that point. So, 4 quadrants. And the first one is minus plus. You're to the left and whoever else is to the right. So minus is, you are great, I'm nothing. A person that makes you feel that way, it could be the way they are, could be the way you perceive them. When you speak to a person as if they are better than you, you're actually in this quadrant. So all you have to do is listen. And then the other quadrant, the opposite of that is, I am great, thou art not. So I'm great, you are not means I truly believe myself to be better than you. Now, some people actually take care of other people. So this is in a therapeutic community, you have to look out for this, because some people come from the perspective of, I feel great helping you. And Munchausen by proxy is, in a way, a bit of that. When a parent might even harm their child to get sympathy and to feel useful. And in some ways, narcissistic abuse is like that, because people will tell you when they've been in it, whether it's a relationship or just a friend or a parent, that that person can make you feel like you're the best person in the world and the worst, just like any drug. So, next one, I'm not so great, but haha, you're not either, or either. You say tomato, I say tomato. So, I'm not so great, and neither are you. That is the quadrant that where you will find suicidal tendencies. The quadrant I am great, you are not is where you will find personality disorders as defined by the DSM 5. That's where you will find sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists. That's where you will find a lot of criminal behavior and a lot of abuse. And if you turn around and go up into the top left quadrant, that's where you will find a lot of the abused. And a person, you are great, I am nothing, is exactly the antelope with a limp that hyenas will chase. So you come from a house where mom is being abused by dad. It makes you feel some people are great and some are nothing. And I don't know which one I am, and I don't feel good about it. So you go to school, and you can actually see by the way you walk that you're not feeling completely at ease and confident and congruent. So it will take around 5 seconds for anybody with a need of bullying somebody to see if you respond to that. Now, here's the thing you want. We're both great in different ways, and that's okay. So it doesn't matter if I'm young, you're old, I'm young, you're rich, I'm poor, you're rich. You're pretty as hell, and I'm ugly as shit. That does not matter. That's okay. In this quadrant, it's not about that. It's about equal value. So a dialogue will happen in this fourth quadrant. A debate will happen in any one of the other three, or a discussion. Now, normal people usually jump between these quadrants. So it would be normal to go, my friend John makes me feel like shit because he always, tells me these great stories of his adventures, and all I did last week was wash. Or you go, I met, that guy from school that was always, getting all the girls and had the, rich parents and everything. I met him the other day, and he's in a burnout. And I told him, here I am. My life is not fantastic, but I'm doing good, and I have a loving relationship. And I felt it felt like I should be ashamed because I felt a little bit good about it. And all that is normal, everyday stuff. It's when it becomes pathological, when you get stuck in one of these, that you want to get out of them. So you should strive for yourself and the client and anybody in the world to be in the plus plus. But just by explaining this to couples, they look at each other, and then they look down and then they blush because they realize what happened in all those discussions they had, especially when I drop, and anything that is not a dialogue happens outside the fourth quadrant with a pigeon or dove. Lovey dove. Right. So here comes the thing that happened when Gunilla and I was teaching this. Now, we've been mentoring a social security group, sociala insatsgruppen. How would you explain that, Annika? Social services. So social services in one of the worst neighborhoods in Sweden, and we do have some worst neighborhoods here as well. Kids around 12, 13, 14 with guns killing each other and smoking crack for breakfast. So this happens everywhere. And in here, the spot for that is Skarpnäck, it's called. So this group, they're called in when there is a perpetrator or a survivor, and to help and support the perpetrator or the survivor or the family or the people around it, because it's about getting community balance. And that's kind of tricky because they are the glue that calls in, balances police interventions with ambulance interventions with, subsidizing something or donations or money or whatever, or hospital care or drugs, prescription drugs. So they are magicians, truly. And we gave them the tool of tapping and havening so that they could actually help anybody calm down the nervous system. And they teach it to the families, either with a troubled kid or with a kid that is a survivor of trouble. So in either case, and they usually coincide after a while, in either case, they get a tool that actually works from the first moment. So they gain trust. Even with a really tough criminal kid, you go, "How would you like for nobody to notice when you're uncool?" And they go, "Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll try this. Oh, it works. Fantastic." But then, by showing this transaction analysis, we discovered that this also is the secret to understanding self-medication. So, at home, I feel like shit. I feel I'm not so great, but my parents aren't either. And then, my friend comes along and I feel I'm still like shit, but at least they're good, but they don't make me feel good. So you go from lower left straight up. But then I go with my friend Eleanor, and we take ecstasy, and I get a dopamine kick of 1,500 times more than anything else. So all my dopamine is just washed into my system, and I feel love. I feel connection. I feel the world is fantastic. I feel like 1960, and I'm dancing on the table with, I feel, oh, this is groovy, right? Groovy, baby. So I'm experiencing the fourth quadrant thanks to a drug. I feel plus plus. But then when that wears off, since I've abused my hormone system and used up every single dopamine crumb I had, I will go straight down into the lower left and feel like I'd like to kill myself. So I could take the alcohol, and that makes me loosen up a little bit. So I go from minus plus to plus minus. At least I can, walk up to the opposite sex and feel like I'm self-assured thanks to my alcohol-induced stability or instability. Depends on how many glasses I drink. And then when I get a little bit too drunk, I just need to, I'm losing it and I'm going back into the minus plus. So I'll take some cocaine, boom. And all of a sudden, I can drink even more and I can stay in that cool factor place. So usually, alcohol and cocaine will compensate a minus plus into a plus minus. But it won't really give you the plus plus unless you're a bunch of buddies going, whoa, at a baseball game or something. Because that's connection. So transaction analysis, just for listening, for explaining, as a tool of giving the client, I find it really, really useful. I'm into accents. I'd like to say that with a New York accent. I find it really, really. How would you say that with a New York? And do I have any New Yorkers here? New Yorkers?
From Brooklyn, what do you want?
Yeah, there you go. Please tell me, how do I say really, really useful?
Really fucking useful, dude.
I love it.
What do you want from me? Fucking useful.
Thanks so much. Made my day. I'm trying to learn Arabic as well. Okay. New Yorkian and Arabic. Okay, so now I would like for you to go into a breakout room and get to know a complete stranger. And for those of you who are not having your video on, I would like you to unveil yourself from that burqa of darkness and step into the light and fraternize and just discuss 5 minutes, whatever this gave you. Good, bad, ugly, useful. I don't know. How the heck would you use it? Does Ulf have all the horses in the stable? All that kind of stuff. And then we come back out and we compare notes, and there will be a winner. And of course, it's no competition, but there will be a winner. So here we go. 5 minutes. Enjoy. You may need to accept it, like any gift. We're
Every,
back.
everyone was good in the sandbox. Fun,
Everybody
fun,
was good in
fun.
the sandbox. You played nicely. Now you tell me if somebody's bad there. I will really instruct them. But yeah, Homeboy Industries in Los Angeles, they say hurt people hurt people. So anybody who bullies anybody is just a person with a hole in the soul. So just give them lots of love from a safe distance. That's my advice.
Oh, that's good
Sometimes a
advice.
very safe distance.
Yeah, there's practicality in there.
So please, the thing is this: I have so much stuff I'd love to talk about, and what you learn and think of is that's what I get out of this. I love sharing stuff. I love collective wisdom, and we have Jess who has joined us, and you know, Jess, she was in the English time zone and didn't really her eyes didn't really get stuck on the text that said, all the time zones because it wasn't in the mail. That's my fault. That's typical mail, not to put that in the mail. And what I'd like for you to do is just somebody unmute yourself and say, a little summary of what you believe that she might be interested in knowing. Now she'll be able to watch it after. So it's not like you have to do this whole presentation. It's just give her some tidbits, Jess, you might find this interesting. And the rest of you, as somebody elbows their way up to the mic to do that, write whatever conclusions or questions or thoughts you had in the chat so that we get this multi-layered extreme happening thing going on. I need it for my ADHD, please. So who will tell Jess something about life the last 40 minutes?
Hi, Jess. I'll go. I'm Claudia.
There, you saved me.
Yeah. I was actually wondering about the same thing with the time zone, and I looked in the mail and I reread the mail and I looked for another confirmation. And then I just gambled that it would be European time. But the one thing I wanted to tell you was that we just saw this quadrant with 4 quadrants. And yes, that one. And it was such an inspiration to see that, how you can be in either one of these quadrants and recognize the state that you're in, but just know that the one on the top right corner with a dove in it is what we could all be striving for, that I'm great and you're great and we're both great in different ways, and that's fine. That's totally fine. And that's actually my biggest takeaway from the past, hour or so.
Yep. And thanks a lot, Claudia. And transaction analysis is it's a psychological model that regards every communication between two living, feeling beings, regardless of creed, race, biology, or being a mammal or reptile, as a transaction. I want to eat you. I don't want to eat you. I want to buy coffee. I want to take you to the movie. I want to leave you here at the bus stop. Whatever. It's a transaction. And regarding everything as a transaction, I find it extremely helpful. And when people describe stuff, it's so easy to, show them this. And then they can themselves say, I have such a problem with my boss. Where would you put your boss here? Does your boss make you feel inferior, or does your boss talk down, talk up to you? Are you both in the 4th quadrant or not? And then they go, well, I realized something. Yeah. And having explained this to couples in couples therapy, or even families or kids or whatever, because I tell the kids, it's not okay for people to talk down on you just because you're a kid. Not just because you're a kid. And they kind of like that. So 2 of the things around the therapy, and we have great comments in the comment field. Does anybody have a question or reflection that you'd like to throw in my lap? And like I said, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. You'll wake up tonight in the middle of the night going, oh my God, I should have asked this question to Ulf. Yes, please, Sarah.
So what's the best way of jumping your quadrants without alcohol and cocaine?
That's a very good question. I like that. Thank you. So what is the very best way? And as I said before, we know, and we know that the answer to this, what is it? I can get to the slide eventually, but still somebody will go before me and say, what is the answer?
It depends.
Exactly. It depends. If you don't have any alcohol, and you don't have any cocaine either, bless your soul if you don't, then it depends. Now, why does it depend? It depends because we are different, because we have different reality tunnels, because we have different maps. So, for one person who wants to get into the right quadrant, which actually is the right quadrant, that's why I put it to the right, top right quadrant. Well, if you're in the lower quadrant talking down to people, you probably want to practice active listening. So there is let's try this together. So this is an isomorphic mapping of what I'm trying to explain. So you're not allowed to take notes. Natalie, no notes. So yeah, hands over your eyes. Are you with me, Marianne? They can see me. It's 1984, George Orwell. Okay, nobody escapes. So this is how you should not listen to somebody. This is prejudice. This is stereotyping. This is what allows you to kill or hurt or talk down to a stranger that you never met, because I know how these butlers are. I know how these janitors are. I know how these immigrants or not immigrants or dogs, or I know exactly how a border collie is. So when you treat somebody without actually seeing who they are, you are treating a fantasy, a figment of your fantasy that allows you to be bad. This is why when they dropped the soldiers, the first surge of American soldiers in Vietnam, they would shoot and intentionally miss the Vietnamese because they did not know them and did not want to kill them. And that's natural. So they had to train that reflex away. That's another sad story. So the second thing is you lift your hands like this. So this is the second level of listening. It means, oh, there's a person there. Oh my God, there is a person. And, you're going, oh, I wonder, what are they actually doing? So instead of listening like this, you're actually listening like this, also looking at them. So here you only heard, I am so mad. I think everybody should just murder. And you open this and you say, oh, I see that your foot is stuck in a wolf trap. That must really hurt. Let me help you. You can be you can have any level of autistic abilities in the world and still communicate better with your hands like this. And then what you do is you go like this. Try it. It's not dangerous. We are protected by the screen. So you're going this and you're going, okay. I'm trying to, I feel you, like Americans would say, I feel you, bro. I feel you, sis. I feel you. You really shouldn't feel them too much because that's against the law in the States, actually. But you can, feel them at a distance like this, and you can, you're trying to feel what they're feeling. So you're not only going, I see you, but you're also going, I wonder, put your hands like this on shoulders and you go, I wonder why they're feeling that. I don't know. And then the fourth level of listening is when you actually go up and stand next to them side by side, right? And when you stand side by side with somebody, you're looking and seeing through their eyes what they're actually seeing. And you're going, wow, is that what you see me doing? Of course you're pissed at me. So those are the four levels of listening. And I think that is one of the easiest way of getting into the right quadrant, because when you're standing next to somebody, you're actually in the top right quadrant. And when you have your eyes like this, you're definitely in the, one of the other quadrants. So that's a way. Is that an okay answer, Sarah? Great. I get a thumbs up. I get a thumbs up. Okay, good. Any more questions? I see people moving. That means they're going to say something. Janine? I cannot hear you. I see you, but I cannot hear you. You are like Casper the visible ghost.
I was just having a look to see what had been written in the chat since we were listening to what
but
you were
the
saying.
Universe chose you to speak. So if you had a question, which one would it be?
I just thought it was really interesting what you were saying about the active listening and the 4 levels.
Yep.
I don't think I've got a question on it. I'll probably reflect on it and have a question later. Yeah.
Cool. So I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have any more examples from those kids that you helped the social people to help? Do you have any live examples without giving away identities? It was just interesting to see
Yeah, absolutely.
where you could move with them.
Okay. So yeah, so when you move through these quadrants, what happens is what they do with the kids is they actually draw this on the wall. So they have a whiteboard or a piece of paper, and they sit down and they just show this to them, and they say, sometimes you feel like people are better than you, don't you? Yeah, they go, that's this quadrant. And sometimes you feel that you're better than other people, don't you? Yeah, that happens with my little brother. Okay, then you're down in this quadrant. And sometimes there are some people that make you feel like, you're connected, you're twin souls, you're good, you're not afraid, you're comfortable, you can joke about anything, and you would be happy to have them have your back in a weird funky situation. And they go, yeah, that's Louise. And then some people, they make you feel like shit, but they're not so hot either. Yeah, I know, that's my uncle, whatever. So by explaining this to these kids, and they put names on those people, they suddenly realize that the way they feel about themselves depends on who is holding the mirror, which also means that they will understand why they maybe find themselves in a criminal situation, because the absolutely easiest and cheapest and fastest way to get respect and money and sex and drugs and a feeling of fame is to just break the law. It doesn't really require much else. I mean, it's not really hard. All that you need to have is a disregard for other people and a will to flourish, which you haven't found in any other place. That's why it's hard to compete with. So one of these kids, I don't have the drawing here, but he drew the drawing and he just wrote the names of these people in the different quadrants. So he just wrote, that's Louis, that's Eva, that's at home. That I always feel like that when I'm at school, because at school I feel like a minus plus because everybody else understands stuff and I don't. And this is usually because you come from an abusive home or a home that is not providing the safety you want or the support you need. And that could be a home with 2 loving parents that simply don't have the time, as well as 2 parents that are dysfunctional. So actually that is just as big a part. So you come from that and then you don't have the social skills and you definitely are not getting help with your homework. And maybe you're dyslexic or dyscalculexic. So it means that you feel stupid. So you have to get your kicks, in some other way, being a clown or offering beauty or, whatever skill or. So this kid I'm thinking of, he actually, the first layer is how people made him feel. But then the second layer was, so when you do drugs, what happens just before that? And that's clean language. So just before X, what happens? Because you're trying to get a sequence to explain a behavior. So David Grove, clean language, 12 questions to find out and elicit why people do things without muddling the water for them. So I was at home. Things were quite okay. Mom was there. I feel cool with her. Sometimes she doesn't even understand stuff like I do, about cell phones and shit. So I help her. So I feel a little bit plus, minus. And then my older brother came home and he immediately made fun of me and made me feel so small, minus plus, that I went out into the street and I hang with this gang that I don't really know that well, but they offered me alcohol. And I finally felt at home because all the tension just let go. And all of a sudden I felt like me. And I'll never forget that. So true story, true guy, not giving away any details or names. And then we went on into asking, what about ecstasy? What about cocaine? What about marijuana? Because each drug does different things to your hormone system. So if you need dopamine and you need a little and you're tense, alcohol will do that. If you have anxiety, alcohol might not do it well enough. Marijuana will. So if you're doing alcohol to stay out of anxiety, it's only going to work to the point where you fall asleep. And then you wake up with a hangover and anxiety. So you do cocaine to prolong the period of feeling safe. So you don't feel connected. You feel odd. You feel like the odd bird. You feel like nobody really understands you. And you do E together with a lot of other people doing E, dancing to music that stops you from having to talk, which means, all of a sudden you can communicate in very basic ways. So you're having the best time of your life, feeling a part of something bigger than you, a part of something, and you're actually feeling it in your body, in your hormone system. The only catch is that you are actually burning the dopamine in your body, so that when you get out of that, you will be feeling worse than before. Unless you have, a good sound system with lots of dopamine in it, and then some people can do it and it doesn't really matter. And again, it's the side effects. If you're doing the cocaine to keep in the fourth or lower, one of the right quadrants, then what happens is you're tricking your body to stay awake much longer than it usually would be, especially if you can't afford the coke, so you're doing cheap amphetamine or something like that, which means you're going to be awake 3 days in a row, which is basically making the bed for a psychotic experience. Not because of the drugs, but because they kept you awake and your brain can't handle that. It needs to, reset. And just explaining that so they understand, oh, so you mean it's not because of my low morale and bad character that I'm doing drugs? No, 80% of drugs is self-medication. Basically, it's the stuff that you can pour into the hole in your soul and fill it up for the time being. And that's part of neutralizing and normalizing that I do with every client at all times. So they go, I have so much anger. Do you? What kind of anger is that anger? Clean language. Oh, it's the kind of anger that makes you want to throw stuff around. Oh, do you often do that? Throw stuff around? Their words. Yeah, I threw something last week. What did you throw? Well, I threw, my brand new television that my dad had given me. I threw it out the window. Wow, out the window. You must have been really angry. Did you actually know what you were doing? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not really, because it was the kind of anger where, afterwards you go, oh my God, that's stupid. Oh my God, and then, you're talking about it without moralizing, without intervening, allowing the person to look in a mirror of what actually happened. And all the time, self-haven, rub your troubles away. There's going to be a song soon. So all the time during that discussion doing that, or tapping, of course. But self-havening with the hands is so much easier to ask anybody to do compared to tapping, which just has a little higher weird level. And for some people, that's cool. They're going to go, oh, I'm special. I can do this. You guys can do that. I'm going to do this. And I'm much cooler. It depends. So that's how I would frame that and phrase that. And it helps to know about drugs and dopamine and hormones. And I also explain to people, because I take all the shame away, because the one driving factor of relapse and suicide, the biggest one is usually shame. So you want to get out of shame. No more shame. So you can just do a little session on, well, I don't know about you. And there's this Mike Mandel technique, Mike Mandel from Hypnotic Academy in Canada. You go, I don't know about you, I don't even know you, but I had a friend who experienced something similar to you, probably completely different. I have no idea. And they told me, they pointed at me and said, shame is probably one of your worst enemies. And if you let go of shame right now, you're probably going to walk out of here smiling. That's what my friend told me. So that's the Mike Mandel technique of how to deliver a message straight to the face of a person without them feeling attacked. Because I delivered the message that was delivered to me, but I pointed my finger at them and I told them exactly what they probably needed to hear. It's kind of cute. You should try it. If you have a spouse, they go, oh, how was that Zoom? You're going, yeah, I noticed that there's still dishes on the table, And Ulf said on the Zoom that once upon a time, his grandmother just looked at him and said, if you don't take away the dishes, I'm going to bite your head off. But, his grandmother was really violent, and we don't want none of that, do we, darling? There you go, folks. Time flies. And flies, too. I mean, they also fly. So that's why it's called that. I've enjoyed this a lot. I hope you've had some fun. Please spend 1 minute and do 2 things. Number 1, write your email in the chat, because I will send this recording out to every email that I find in the chat. And thank you for sharing. It would have been very lonely for me to sit here if I was alone. Plus, my wife would tell me, oh, what the heck are you doing talking to yourself with the camera? That's kind of narcissistic. No. There were people there from all over the world, I promise. So thank you for that. You have my email. If you find you have questions afterwards, don't hesitate to mail me. That's what mails are for. And if you do, I might answer immediately. If you keep it short and sweet, I will answer fast. I have created a group in a new software, a new social software called Tribe Community. And the group is called Remarkable Change. I will send an invitation for you, and you may like to explore it. It's awesome. It's linked in Mary's Facebook, gets rid of all the lousy stuff in it, and has a child, which is a real true forum for discussion, where you can actually post real things without advertising and actually search in them and find them. Oh my God, can it be true? So I will send you that, and I will post a new date for some more remarkable change, anything except the method. And I'm also doing a havening training in English at the end of January with all of these tools in depth. And if you are trained already and you want to participate, even though you're already trained and maybe even certified, I put a ridiculously low price on that so that you have absolutely no excuse not to participate. That's up to you. Maybe you're good at excuses and you'll find a way out. I'll admire you for it. That's my new sales pitch. I kind of like it. But at the end of the day, I'm still open source. So you don't have to do any trainings with me. I will answer your questions anyhow, and I'll be happy to have a new meeting, and I'll be happy to share whatever I have. So just keep asking. Enjoy. I wish I really could read, at a distance. I have glasses, but it's just exactly the distance I can't read. So I'm going to be sitting with this chat afterwards, so you can write anything right now. I can't catch you anyhow. But thank you. I sense some love in there, and that's cool. All right, folks. Spot on the time. That is. X marks the spot. Take care.
Thanks, all. Hey,
Unmute
thanks,
yourself.
everybody.
Yes?
Thank
I
you.
was just saying, thanks, everybody.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.
Love, joy, happiness. The hippies were right. The rest were wrong.
Yep.
Peace. Peace.
Bye, folks. Peace.
Bye.